Tonight, I want to interrupt a habit you don't even realize you repeat. Most people end their day by collapsing into sleep, carrying the same sentences they used all day. Those sentences don't rest. They keep working, and some of them quietly repel money. Here is the risk I need you to feel. If you write the wrong words before sleep tonight, the next 72 hours can lock you into the same financial loop you've been trying to escape. Not because you failed, but because your last signal of the day told reality to stay exactly as it is. I learned this lesson the slow way, through silence, observation, and old teachings that survive precisely because they work. In Jewish Kabbalah, the moments before sleep are not neutral. They are a doorway. What you place there doesn't argue, it enters. Before I explain what to write, I want you to do something small but meaningful.
In the comments, write one sentence that honestly describes how you feel about money right now. Not what you wish it were, not what sounds positive, just the truth. Do this because unnamed beliefs control you, but named beliefs lose their grip. When you write it publicly, even quietly, you turn an invisible force into something conscious. That is the first opening. You may feel resistance as I say this. That resistance is already part of the pattern we are about to dissolve. People assume money responds to effort alone. Kabbalah teaches something subtler. Money responds to alignment, and alignment begins with language, especially when the guard of the mind is down. Think about the last thing you usually say before sleep. I'm tired. Tomorrow I'll deal with it. It's fine. These seem harmless. They are not punished, but they are obeyed. Reality listens without judging your intention.
This is why the night matters more than the morning. By day, you negotiate with the world. By night, you negotiate with yourself. And yourself believes what you repeat when no one is watching. I'm not asking you to believe me yet. I'm asking you to stay with me for a few minutes and notice how precise this feels. Ancient systems do not survive by coincidence. They survive because they map cause and effect where modern thinking still guesses. In a moment, I'll show you why sleep creates a spiritual opening and why the subconscious accepts instructions without debate at that hour. But first, let this land. Your final words today are already preparing tomorrow's outcomes, whether you choose them or not. Stay with the quiet after this video ends. Notice the sentence that wants to surface when the lights go out. That sentence is not random. It has been rehearsed for years.
And it has consequences. In the next chapter, I will take you to the hidden threshold of sleep itself, where the conscious mind loosens its grip and deeper doors open without resistance. Nothing matters more than what you allow to cross tonight alone. There is a reason every ancient tradition treated sleep with reverence, not as rest alone, but as passage. In Kabbalah, sleep is described as a partial ascent of the soul, a moment when the rational mind releases control and the deeper layers become exposed. This is not poetry. It is a functional description of how influence enters. When you fall asleep, your critical filters soften. The part of you that argues, doubts, and corrects language steps aside. What remains is receptivity. This is why the last thoughts of the night do not need repetition. They are not negotiated. They are accepted. Modern psychology calls this the subconscious.
Kabbalah goes further. It teaches that this openness is not only internal, but spiritual. Your inner world aligns with outer flow precisely because resistance is low. That is why a single sentence before sleep can outweigh 1,000 affirmations spoken during the day. Most people unknowingly use this gate against themselves. They scroll, complain, rehearse worries, or mentally settle for less as exhaustion takes over. By the time sleep arrives, the final message has already been sent. Scarcity disguised as realism. Delay disguised as patience. In ancient Jewish homes, the final moments of the night were guarded, not with fear, but with intention. Words were chosen carefully because they were believed to travel further when spoken at the edge of sleep. What you whisper there becomes instruction, not desire. This explains something many people sense but cannot explain.
Why effort sometimes brings no return. Why opportunities appear after inner shifts rather than external struggle. The system responds to the deepest signal, not the loudest one. Notice how different this feels from motivation. There is no forcing here, no pretending, only alignment. The night does not ask you to be optimistic. It asks you to be precise. Think about this carefully. If the subconscious accepts without resistance, then vague or careless language becomes dangerous, not because it is negative, but because it is final. Statements like, "This is just how it is," land like commands. They feel neutral, but they close doors quietly. This is why writing matters more than thinking at night. Writing slows the moment. It gives form to intention. In Kabbalistic understanding, form invites flow. A thought is mist. A written word is a vessel.
Before sleep, the soul does not want complexity. It wants direction. Whatever direction you offer, it follows. And reality, over time, follows the soul. You don't need belief for this to work. Belief is a daytime concept. Night responds to consistency. What you place there repeatedly becomes normal. What becomes normal becomes real. In the next chapter, I will show you the first mistake almost everyone makes at this gate. It sounds harmless. It even sounds mature. But it signals closure where growth is still required. Once you see it, you will never hear your own words the same way again. The first mistake is subtle, and that is why it survives. It sounds calm, responsible, even wise. The mistake is declaring completion when life is still asking for expansion. It often appears as a simple sentence. "I'm fine. It's okay. I have enough."
These words are usually spoken to reduce tension, not to define destiny. But at night, intention matters less than meaning, and meaning is literal. In Kabbalah, words are not decorations. They are agreements. When you say that everything is fine, you are not expressing gratitude. You are announcing closure. You are telling the system that no further adjustment is required. This is where many people feel confused. They believe they are being positive, but positivity is not the same as openness. Gratitude that ends the conversation stops movement. Gratitude that invites continuation keeps the channel open. I saw this once in a man who had worked his entire life to reach stability. When he finally arrived there, his nightly words shifted. Not to arrogance, but to quiet finality. "I can rest now." Within months, opportunities stopped appearing. Nothing dramatic happened.
That is what made it dangerous. Stagnation rarely announces itself. The spiritual logic is simple. Growth requires space. When your language claims fullness, no space remains. You do not need to complain to block abundance. You only need to declare the story finished. Psychologically, the effect mirrors the spiritual one. The brain hears closure and reduces alertness. Curiosity softens. Risk tolerance shrinks. You begin to protect what exists instead of expanding what is possible. This is why the phrase, "everything is fine," feels comforting but costs momentum. It removes urgency. At night, urgency is not anxiety. It is direction. Without direction, the subconscious defaults to preservation. Kabbalah warns against false completion for this reason, not because contentment is wrong, but because timing matters. Completion spoken too early becomes a ceiling.
The soul stops reaching when it believes the task is done. Notice how often this phrase appears when you are tired, when resistance is low, when sleep is close. That is not accidental. The mind seeks rest, but the soul hears instruction. This mistake does not punish you, it simply obeys you. Reality accepts your declaration and adjusts accordingly. Fewer openings, slower movement, quiet narrowing. In the next chapter, I will show you the ancient law behind this effect, why sacred texts warn against declaring fullness, and how a simple metaphor explains exactly why abundance stops flowing when the cup is already full. There is a spiritual law, ancient and simple, that governs abundance. It is the principle of the vessel. A vessel, in this context, is not just a physical container, but any form that is capable of receiving. For anything to enter, the vessel must have room.
If it is already full, it cannot receive more. This law explains why declaring that everything is fine can quietly block prosperity. It is not a rejection of abundance, but a signal that no more is needed. It is the equivalent of filling your cup and then asking for more water. Nothing can enter until the vessel is emptied, or at least made receptive. Think of it like this. Imagine you've been given a gift, but instead of opening your hands to accept it, you close them, stating, "I have enough." The gift is still in front of you, but it cannot be received. In Jewish mysticism, this is described as a closed vessel. A closed vessel has no capacity to grow. The flow of energy, money, love, or opportunity cannot enter if the vessel is shut off. In fact, it is often the closed vessel that attracts more of the same, more limitation, more complacency, more stuckness.
At night, when your mind softens and the soul is free to ascend, whatever you speak sends a signal that is far more powerful than during the day. This is why the words, "I have enough," or "I'm fine," are spiritually dangerous. They are not just statements of contentment, they are affirmations of stagnation. There is no malice in this, no punishment, just a law of the universe. If you do not leave room for growth, no growth will come. Abundance cannot find you if you are not open to receiving it. In contrast, when you speak words of openness, words that acknowledge what you have, but also invite more, your vessel expands. The law of abundance responds to expansion. It rewards openness, not complacency. This concept is reflected in every aspect of life. Imagine trying to pour more water into a cup that is already full. What happens? It spills over. But if the cup is empty, it can receive more.
The universe operates under this same principle. The key to abundance is leaving room. At night, the words you choose determine how much room you create. When you say, "I am grateful for what I have and I am open to receiving more," you have invited the flow to continue. The next chapter will address a different kind of block, one that is even more insidious. This mistake often comes after small wins, when you start to believe that you've made it and lower your awareness. It's tempting. It feels like rest. But in truth, it is the beginning of a subtle spiritual decline. We will explore this in the next chapter. The second mistake often arrives quietly, disguised as relief. It appears after a small victory, a moment of stability, or a phase where things finally stop hurting. You tell yourself you can relax now. You earned it. And in human terms, that feels reasonable. In spiritual terms, it is dangerous. There is an old saying that captures this perfectly. When the watchman sleeps, the gates are left open, not to opportunity, but to decay. Movement is what keeps life responsive. The moment awareness drops, momentum follows. In Kabbalistic thought, blessing flows toward motion, not frantic motion, but conscious movement. When you stop moving inwardly, the flow does not stop immediately. It slows first. That is why this mistake is rarely noticed until much later. People often say, "I don't want to be greedy," but growth is not greed. Growth is responsibility. When you lower your guard and decide that what you have is enough forever, you stop participating in creation. Psychologically, the effect is just as real. The brain associates relief with safety. Safety reduces alertness. Alertness is what notices opportunity. So when you relax too deeply, you don't lose what you have right away. You simply stop seeing what could be next. This is why many people plateau financially without obvious failure. No disaster, no dramatic loss, just repetition. The same months, the same numbers, the same ceiling. The phrase that often marks this shift is simple. I'm comfortable now. Comfort is not evil, but comfort without intention becomes stagnation. The soul was not designed to stop expanding. It was designed to refine, deepen, and reach further. At night, this mistake becomes amplified. When you fall asleep thinking, "I've done enough," the subconscious receives that as instruction. Enough effort, enough growth, enough vision. The universe does not argue with this. It agrees. And agreement, in this case, feels like silence. In ancient teachings, rest was always paired with vigilance. Even on sacred days of rest, awareness was preserved. Because rest is meant to restore motion, not replace it. This mistake often follows the first one. You declare things fine, then you lower awareness. Together, they create a closed loop. Nothing breaks, but nothing advances. In the next chapter, I will reveal the third mistake. It is the most dangerous because it hides behind honesty. It feels realistic. It feels mature. but it is a lie that quietly shrinks destiny. The third mistake is the most dangerous because it sounds true. It does not feel like fear or laziness. It feels like realism. The lie is this, that your current level is your natural limit. People rarely say this directly. Instead, it appears as a quiet acceptance. This is who I am. This is as far as I go. This is my rhythm. At night, these sentences do not comfort. They define. In Kabbalah, growth is not optional.
It is the nature of the soul. When growth stops, contraction begins, not as punishment, but as consequence. Life either expands or retreats. There is no neutral ground. This lie feels protective because it removes pressure. It tells you that wanting more is unnecessary, that striving is immature. But the soul does not experience striving as stress. It experiences stagnation as suffocation. Psychology confirms what mysticism observed long ago. When a person defines a fixed identity, behavior aligns to protect that identity. Opportunities that challenge the limit are ignored. Risks that could expand the self are rejected. The system becomes efficient at staying the same. There was an observation made in behavioral studies in Israel that aligns with this principle.
Individuals who repeatedly described their financial state as stable and sufficient showed a measurable decline in initiative over time. Their income did not collapse. It simply stopped growing. The words did not create loss. They created a ceiling. This is why the lie is so effective. It does not hurt immediately. It dulls. And dullness feels like peace until years pass. Spiritually, the message sent before sleep is decisive. When you fall asleep believing that this is the final version of you, the subconscious reorganizes life to maintain that version. New paths feel uncomfortable. Expansion feels unnecessary. The unknown feels intrusive. But the truth is simpler and more demanding. You are not meant to arrive. You are meant to refine. There is always another level of clarity, contribution, and capacity waiting. The moment this truth is accepted, something shifts, not forcefully,
quietly. The pressure lifts and purpose replaces it. This is where hope returns, not as fantasy, but as structure. Because if words can limit, they can also reopen. If language can shrink the vessel, it can expand it again. In the next chapter, I will give you the sentence, not a mantra, not a wish, a structure of words aligned with gratitude, movement, and growth. Simple enough to write tonight, precise enough to change the signal you send when it matters most. Now we arrive at the turning point, not because something mystical happens here, but because precision replaces accident. What you write before sleep must do three things at once: acknowledge what exists, affirm movement, and invite expansion. Remove any one of these, and the structure weakens. The sentence is simple, but not casual. It must be written, not just thought. Writing slows the mind and gives form to intention.
The words are these, or something very close in structure. I am grateful for what I have. I am working toward more, and I am becoming better than I was. Each part matters. Gratitude anchors you in reality. It prevents desperation. But notice that gratitude alone is not enough. Gratitude without motion becomes closure. So the second part affirms action, not success, movement. I am working toward more keeps the vessel open. It tells the subconscious that the story is active, not finished, not paused, active. The final part is expansion of identity. I am becoming better than I was. This removes the most dangerous lie. It dissolves the idea of a final version of you. It signals growth without pressure, process without anxiety. This sentence works because it aligns with how the system responds, not to desire, but to direction, not to optimism, but to coherence.
When you write this before sleep, do not rush. One line, once, then stop. Repetition is not necessary at night. Clarity is. You may feel the urge to embellish, to add goals, numbers, specific outcomes. Resist that urge for now. Specifics belong to the day. Night belongs to alignment. Set a simple ritual. Same notebook, same time, lights dimmed. Write the sentence. Close the notebook. Sleep. Do not evaluate how you feel afterward. Do not look for immediate signs. The system does not respond to impatience. It responds to consistency. What changes first is subtle. Language during the day begins to shift. Decisions feel lighter. Opportunities feel noticeable. Not because they were created overnight, but because your inner signal stopped canceling them. This is not magic. It is maintenance. You are clearing the final message of the day, so it no longer contradicts your effort.
In the next chapter, I will show you how this practice has played out in real lives. Not theories, not ideals. Ordinary people who changed nothing except the words they allowed to cross the threshold of sleep. I want to ground this in something human, because principles only matter when they touch real lives, not perfect lives, ordinary ones. There was a woman I once observed quietly from a distance. No dramatic turning point, no sudden windfall, just exhaustion. She had worked for years, always close to stability, never beyond it. Her nights were filled with the same thought, at least I'm surviving. When she began writing before sleep, nothing changed immediately. No surge of motivation, no emotional high. What changed was her tone. Her internal language softened without becoming passive. Before, her words closed the story. Now they kept it open. Grateful, but moving. Stable, but growing. Within weeks, small shifts appeared. She noticed a conversation she would normally ignore. She accepted a responsibility she would normally avoid. Not because she forced herself, but because it felt natural. This is how alignment works. It doesn't push, it pulls. Another story is even simpler. A man who had repeated the same financial cycle for years. Same income, same stress points. He didn't believe in mysticism. He believed in patterns, and that was enough. He wrote the sentence before sleep for 7 nights. On the 8th day, he said something different in a meeting. Not bolder, clearer. That clarity changed how others responded to him. Within months, his environment adjusted to match his internal signal. What matters here is not belief. It never was. Belief is loud. Consistency is quiet. These changes don't happen because the words are special.
They happen because contradiction is removed. When your day pushes forward and your night pulls back, nothing moves. When both align, movement resumes. This is why background, religion, or identity are irrelevant here. The mechanism is universal. Language shapes perception. Perception shapes choice. Choice shapes outcome. Kabbalah simply noticed this early and preserved it carefully, not as superstition, but as structure. If you are listening to this and thinking your life is too complex for something so simple, that thought itself is part of the resistance. Complexity often protects old patterns. Simplicity exposes them. In the next chapter, I will bring all of this together, not as a technique, but as a philosophy of creation itself. Because once you understand why words create worlds, you stop using them casually. At the deepest level, this is not about money.
Money is only the most visible form of flow. What we are really speaking about is creation, how something moves from the unseen into form. In the beginning, according to the oldest texts, creation did not start with action. It started with words. Speech was not description, it was instruction. When something was spoken, it came into being. This is not meant to be taken symbolically. It is a model. Words organize reality because they organize perception, and perception determines what you allow, what you pursue, and what you ignore. When you say something repeatedly, especially when defenses are down, you are not predicting the future, you are selecting it. This is why nightly language matters so much. It is the final selection before the mind releases control, the last instruction given before the system runs unattended. You now understand the structure.
Do not declare completion too early. Do not lower awareness after small wins. Do not accept a false ceiling as realism. Instead, choose alignment. Gratitude without closure. Rest without stagnation. Identity without limits. This is a philosophy of responsibility, not pressure. You are not required to force outcomes. You are asked to stop canceling them. Think of this as tuning an instrument. If the strings are misaligned, no amount of effort produces harmony. When alignment is restored, sound flows naturally. This is why the 7-day experiment matters, not as proof, but as experience. Write the sentence each night. Same structure, no improvisation. Let the system respond without interference. Do not look for signs. Let them find you. Awareness will sharpen on its own. Opportunity does not need to be created when it can be recognized. There is a quiet dignity in this practice.
No performance, no announcement, just a private agreement between you and the direction of your life. You are choosing growth over comfort, movement over closure, creation over repetition. And yet there is one layer deeper than all of this. One element that amplifies every word, every intention, every result. In the final chapter, I will leave you with that element, not as instruction, but as a blessing. Because what you carry out of this moment matters just as much as what you write before sleep tonight. Let me gather this into one quiet truth. Words are never just sounds. They are decisions made aloud. When you say something often enough, especially in stillness, life rearranges itself to agree with you. So remember this when night comes. Do not end your day by closing the story. Do not say that everything is fine if growth is still calling you. That you are grateful, that you are moving, that you are becoming. This is not about denying struggle. It is about refusing stagnation. You can acknowledge what hurts without declaring it permanent. You can rest without surrendering direction. There is an old blessing, passed quietly from one generation to the next. May you be guarded when you are unaware. May your path open when you are not watching. May what is meant for you find you without force. Carry that with you tonight, not as a ritual to impress, but as a posture of trust. Trust that clarity is stronger than noise, that alignment is stronger than effort alone. If these words reached you, they are not meant to end with you. Share them with those who feel stuck but cannot explain why. Not to convince them, to remind them, you do not need to change your life tonight.
You only need to stop sending it the wrong instructions before sleep. Gratitude, movement, growth. Let those be the final words of your day.